Hello, I am Lorna Lewis, and I'm so ready to share this information with you. 10 things to ask yourself while you're writing your scenes. And actually, I should have said while you're editing your scenes, because remember, writing is just for writing. Editing is when you go back and make sure you've incorporated these 10 things into your scenes. Remember, scenes are chapters. So 10 things that each chapter should have. I am going to share my screen so that we can jump right into the presentation. All right. 10 questions to ask yourself when writing a scene. Again, I am Lorna L.A. Lewis. I'm a national best-selling author. I have written 3 novels and 2 inspirational motivational books and many personalized books for children and a few for young adults and adults. So I love everything about writing. I love teaching writing, and I cannot wait to share these 10 things with you. So grab your pencil, paper, your favorite beverage, or nothing is your choice. Whatever you need to remember, retain this information, and use it while you're writing, whatever you need, grab it. Again, there is a checklist, so you may just want that afterwards. So these are the things you're going to check your scenes for. First thing is purpose. What is the purpose of this scene? What is the purpose of this chapter? If you are writing a chapter and it is just a filler, your readers will know that this is just a filler and it serves no purpose. If you cannot identify why this chapter is needed, then it's probably not needed. So as you're writing, ask yourself, what's the point of this chapter? What is this chapter adding to my story? What information will my readers gain from reading this chapter? If it's nothing that they don't already know, then you don't need that chapter. So each chapter should give us something new that moves your story forward. Begin with a bang. Every sentence of every chapter, your first sentence of every chapter should draw us in immediately. So you're asking yourself, is my first sentence interesting? Would I want to keep reading this? If I was the reader and I picked up my book, is my first sentence going to make me want to keep reading? If your answer is no, then you need to revamp, revise, or delete your first sentence. So this is a book that I thoroughly enjoyed by L. Wright. It's called The Forbidden Man. And I'm giving you 2 examples from chapter 1 and chapter 2 of her first sentences. So chapter 1 says, don't move. Well, immediately I have questions. Why? Who can't move? First of all, why can't they move? What's going to happen when they move? I have questions. I want to know. So I'm going to keep reading. That's what you want your readers to feel like. From chapter 2, it says Sydney's eyes popped open and she immediately closed them again. Again, I have questions. Why did she close her eyes? What did she see? Why did she have that reaction when she saw it? So all these questions are playing in my head, and I will have to keep reading to find out the answer. That's the reaction, again, you want your readers to have. You want them to want more. And the only way they're going to want more is if you set your first sentence up to make them want more. Whose eyes is this through? Each chapter is told from the point of view of one of your characters. If you have 2 main characters, then you may flip-flop. Like the first chapter may be in one character's point of view. The next chapter may be in another character's point of view. So while you're doing that, you're asking, is everything we're seeing through this character's eyes? I'm going to use Sydney since that's the character that Elle used and the example that I use. So if this is Sydney's chapter, So that means everything my reader is reading in terms of what they're seeing, what this character is seeing, they're seeing it through Sydney's eyes. The thoughts that are being heard are Sydney's thoughts. The feelings that this character is having are Sydney's feelings, because it's her point of view. It's from her viewpoint. So if Sydney's in a dialogue with another character, we would not hear what that other character is thinking. Unless, and I did a presentation on this before, and I said, unless Sydney is a mind reader and she's able to hear this character's thoughts. 9 times out of 10, your character probably won't be a mind reader. So we should not hear what the person she's talking to is thinking or feeling, their emotions. We can see it from Sydney's point of view. So if she's having a dialogue and someone's face is scrunched up or their face is turned red, then Sydney can conclude that this person is angry. But again, it would be from Sydney's point of view. So when you go to the next chapter, if it's someone else's turn to speak, or not necessarily to speak, but to tell their thoughts and how they're seeing things, then that's from their point of view. So you would not have 2 points of views in one chapter. It's very confusing to the reader. So if Sydney is telling this story, if Sydney is leading this chapter, then it's just Sydney. Now, please understand when I say that that's when, in terms of what she's thinking, in terms of what she's feeling, things like that. You will hear if she's in a dialogue with someone. You will hear their conversation. So you can hear from the other person. You just won't hear their inner thoughts. And I hope I'm not confusing you, but it's just from one person's perspective. Each chapter is from one person's perspective. Next, where are we? As you are writing, make sure in each chapter you have identified the setting of that chapter. Where is this story taking place? Was there a time change from one chapter to the next chapter? If time has changed, you need to make that known, either through dialogue with your characters, or the narration may show that things have changed, but you have to make sure that your readers are keeping up with the time change, with the scenery change, with everything, all the changes your readers need to be informed about some kind of way. So you ask yourself, have I identified where we are? Have I identified the time change? And have I adequately described the location using my 5 senses? Again, it's probably going to be best if this comes out through dialogue, because it's not like, okay, you just laid everything out. They are in New York at Central Park, sitting on a bench. It would be best if your reader one of your characters may say, oh, thank you for inviting me. I've never been to Central Park before. And the other character may say, yeah, I come all the time, but I usually don't come during the winter time though, because it's too cold out here. And, as she tugged at her coat. So we know it's cold. We know they're in Central Park, which we know is located in New York. So that's how, you're able to show the setting of your story where this chapter is taking place. Next, it says, don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glints of light on broken glass. Are you showing or are you telling? If you are in the L.A. Lewis Writing Warriors group, you've heard me talk about showing versus telling a lot. You show, you don't tell. You show, you don't tell, as much as you can. So look at this picture. Obviously, she has a headache. As the author, I could say Sheila had a headache. Or I could say Sheila grabbed a cup of water and popped 3 pills into her mouth. She rubbed her head as she leaned against the sofa and closed her eyes. Now, I showed you. Not one time did I say her head was hurting when I showed you, but you can conclude from her actions that she has a headache. that's what you want to do. Go through your manuscript, go through each chapter, see where you may have told something that you could have shown versus telling. If someone's angry, instead of saying they're angry, you are showing their brows furrowed or the beads of sweat on their head, things like that, to show that they're angry. If they're cold, instead of saying they're cold, you can show that they're rubbing their hands together, that their breath is foggy, and they could see their breath in the brisk air, whatever. But you are showing, you're not telling. So you ask yourself quite simply, am I showing the readers the action? Am I allowing them to visualize without actually telling them? You want your reader, and that's how they get more immersed in your story, more engaged in your story, if they're able to see it themselves versus you just saying it to them. Past tense versus present tense. You have to decide at the very beginning, am I writing this story in past tense as a narrator, or am I writing this story as present tense as a narrator? It's the difference between she jumped versus she jumps. And make sure you are not going back and forth from past to present tense. I am stressing this because it is a problem that I had in the beginning, and it's because I did not know better. But once I knew better, I started doing better, and I am telling you better. If you, the narrator, are writing in past tense, then keep it in past tense. If you, the narrator, are writing in present tense, keep it in present tense. Now, understand that I am not saying dialogue. I'm not talking about when your characters are talking with each other. I'm talking about when you are talking, when you are saying the action that's taking place. I'm going to go back to show you what I mean. Let me see if I can go back. Previous. Okay, right here. Sheila grabbed a cup of water and popped 3 pills in her mouth. She rubbed her head as she leaned against the sofa and closed her eyes. So all of my actions are written in past tense. This is not what Sheila is saying, it's what the narrator is showing. So if I was writing in present tense, I would say Sheila grabs a cup of water and pops 3 pills in her mouth. She rubs her head as she leans against the sofa and closes her eyes. So it's up to you. It is totally your choice. But remember, whatever you begin with, you have to continue throughout the story. Do not jump from past to present tense. Are we moving forward? Does your chapter add to your story? Again, does it add to your story? I know we talked about that briefly a few minutes ago, but does it add new information? Does it tell anything that the reader really needs to know? Will your reader find out something new about your characters? Will they find out a new problem your character is having? What is the purpose of that chapter? Your chapter has to add something. It has to reveal something new, because your readers don't want to read a chapter full of information that they already know. It's a waste of space. Is there enough conflict or mystery? So you need to ask yourself, did this chapter add any conflict? Did it leave my readers wondering what's going to happen next? That's how each chapter should feel. Like your reader wants to know what's going to happen next in the story. Just like when they read your first sentence, they want to know what's going to happen next. Reading this chapter should make them want to keep reading, to know what's going to happen next in the next chapters. So you're always thinking of ways to keep your readers engaged, keep them hanging on, keep them wanting more. Next one is beginning, middle, and end. Just like your book has a beginning, middle, and end, your chapter should have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Your end does not mean that it solved the problem and it wrapped everything up. It simply means that you ended it in a way where your characters, maybe that scene has ended or is ended from that person's point of view, and you're going to pick back up in the next scene from the other person's point of view. But whatever it is, you have to make sure that that it's clear that this chapter has ended. You started this chapter, there was talk, conflict, dialogue in the middle of the chapter, and then you ended the chapter, and then you go on to your next chapter. So, basic, does it have a clear beginning, middle, and end? Does it end with a bang? Just like you begin with a bang, just like you begin your first sentence with a bang, just like each chapter should add something that's like, oh, each ending should have a bang. Your ending should have a bang. Your last sentence should end with a bang. And here are ways that you can do that. Maybe you're ending with a cliffhanger. Maybe you're ending with a revelation or a surprise come up. Maybe it's a new conflict that all of a sudden arises right at the end of this chapter. Maybe a new character comes on the scene right at the end of this chapter. Maybe it's an emotional breakdown by your character, or maybe your character's overly excited about something. Whatever it is, you just need to make sure that it's going to, again, make your reader want to keep reading. So these are just some ways that you can do that. And that is it. Our 10 things to look for while you are writing your chapters. Download the checklist, keep it nearby while you edit. Again, I am Lorna L.A. Lewis, national best-selling author and motivational writing coach. Email me, inbox me, whatever you need to do. If you have any questions regarding this video, if there was something that you were still unclear about, you have more questions about, whatever it may be, please feel free to contact me, or just if you're watching this on the L.A. Lewis Writing Warriors Facebook group, put your comments in the, write your question in the comment section, and I will definitely answer, which I think is best because other people may have the same question that you're having. That way I can answer it all right there. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something new. If you didn't learn anything new, I hope you at least heard something that you needed to be reminded of, or a refresher for you. And I just hope you enjoyed it. And I want to hear from you guys. So tell me what you think. Tell me if you need any help. Tell me if you have any questions. And I am here to support you and to guide you. Okay, I'm going to stop share. And I am going to end this video. Have a blessed day. Bye.